Margaret Kuhlman at Soul Astrology. This new moon chart looks quite peaceful compared to many that we've seen in the last few years. Perhaps the effect of Jupiter passing through Leo brings an optimism that allows the Libra to envision harmony more easily. Mars too is in Sagittarius, Jupiter's own sign, so the energy with which we do things is more optimistic. Perhaps we dare a little more, adventure out there, try new things. There is a caution on going too far with this experimental way, in that Mars squares Neptune, that quite strong red line. It already happened a couple of days before the new moon, but being in the chart there are still reverberations. It's as though we're all too sensitive, just so sensitive to the feelings of the whole world that everything happening everywhere impacts at the solar plexus level. We try to be positive about it all, but sometimes perhaps feel too much the suffering, and consequently may do things that are not appropriate. Mars in Sagittarius needs to be guided by the position of Jupiter, and Jupiter's connection, the blue line going across that trine, is to Uranus. So the advice would be to keep the brightness of your own heart, to keep the light in your own thoughts, so that you remain personally detached from whatever you pick up. That way, mistaken solutions are less likely to happen, because we do that when we're identifying too much ourselves with somebody else's problems. Libra's difficulty is often that we try too hard to make it look good for someone else, which may not be what they actually want, certainly what they may need. When someone is on the sea of life, there needs to be a going down into the trough of the wave before one can come back out again. Libra tries to hold people back from going down into the trough, which never works, of course. So it's important to have enough detachment to recognize that a person's life is their own, their troubles belong to them and are valuable in the teaching they can receive. And if it's pertinent, of course we get in there and help, but it needs to be done for the other, and not just to alleviate our own sense of pain. Jupiter also quincunxes Chiron exactly, showing that this beacon of light is there to be of service to the world, that it's a sense of hope within difficult situations that can keep people moving through so they don't get stuck in it. And Saturn trining the Chiron from Scorpio, just reminding us that it's emotional intelligence we need to be working on. The instruction from Saturn being that pain can be managed. Suffering has to do with giving up rather than surrendering to the facts. And I know I talked about this last month as well, because it's a very Virgo theme. Venus is still in Virgo and sextiling the Saturn, so that teaching about service, all of that is still relevant. And the thing to watch out for with the Virgo is not to give ourselves too hard a time. There was a good deal of pressure throughout the last half of last month, pressure to get things right, pressure to complete things that we were putting on ourselves. So part of the Libran influence this month can be to relax a little and see where one has actually been pushing too hard, becoming agitated, having such high expectations that there's no way we're going to get a sense of satisfaction. So this gentle movement brings us to a full moon that is much more active. The moon connects Uranus with the south node in Aries, while the Sun and Venus close in on the north node, and all held together in that beautiful kite shape, with Mars still in Sagittarius trining the Jupiter. So from the 4th of October for a week or so, Mars will be energizing the movement from freedom, using our freedom and individuality to create peace and harmony in the world. Definitely a time of new solutions. Mercury will have moved from Libra into Scorpio on about the 28th of September and begins to go backwards on the 4th of October. So this full moon chart sees a retrograde Mercury heading back to Libra on the 11th of October. This is where we start to comb through past decisions to understand the connotations of the choices we've made and make the adjustments that are necessary to accept them. Something about that phrase, "it's no use crying over spilt milk." The solution is to clear it up and perhaps check why it got spilt in the first place, how it happened. So a lot of thinking back over how things have been and how they turned out to be the way they are through the whole of the second part of this new moon cycle. Mercury will be retrograde until the 25th of October, just after the next new moon. So most of this month has that flavour. Part of the beauty of having Mercury in Scorpio is its fine connection with Neptune, showing a sensitivity of mind and an accuracy of intuition. Later to trine Chiron, but then that has to do with the next month. As Mercury goes back into Libra, it'll be our relationships, it'll be our style of living that we'll be contemplating, taking maybe a step back from where we had put ourselves, contemplating how we might move forward slightly differently to better effect. But the overall flavour of the second half of the month, and indeed the whole month, is positive, warm, fairly excited about the future, about what we might achieve, about where we might go, and how we can work together. Venus and the Sun together in Libra on the North Node. The time is right for combining our skills so that we can move forward more effectively and create beauty as we go. We can only do this if each person will accept and be their unique selves. A month to enjoy. There is beauty everywhere if you have the intent to find it. The search for that delicacy and sweetness is the best adventure you may choose. Turn over the stones, look into the trees, examine the structures of old in wood and stone. The colour and shape, angle and curve of houses and faces and food. Above all, appreciate what you find for itself, rather than restricting it with liking, disliking, or scorn. Each has its purpose and experience. Each is unique. To fully understand the smallest part is to master the universe. So be humble in the face of the unknown and enjoy relating to your world.